call the Millcreek Township Board of Supervisors meeting of May 9th to order, and we're going to begin with a pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll call for public comment on agenda items other than those dealing with development or rezoning applications. All right, we have minutes from April 18th. If there are no additions or corrections to those minutes, I'll entertain a motion.
I so move to approve the minutes as drafted.
I'll second.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
I vote yes. Next, we have the next we have the bills. If there are no additions or corrections to the bills, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. I'll move to pay the bills that are in this batch.
I'll second.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next we have the quarterly budget report, and I'll refer to our treasurer, Mark Zacheski, for that report.
Okay. We started this last year, actually with our auditors with the 2015 final results, and now we continue this on this year. So we're going to, I actually would have liked to have this done for April. The goal is always to have it in the month following the quarter. It didn't quite make it this time, but we'll hope to improve that performance for the next quarter. In terms of revenue, we're ahead of last year. You can see, and we're ahead of last year, particularly in property taxes. That is due to the fact that this year, between the tax collector and the county, they had the bills prepared earlier, and they were actually sent out earlier, so we started getting receipts in February, whereas last year, I don't think they went out until the beginning of March, and so we got a couple weeks jump on getting the collections in. Everything pretty much so is similar to last year, although we are overall ahead by about $800,000, and that's mostly due to the property tax difference year over year.
That'll even out though next quarter.
It evens out because there's only a finite amount of property. Matter of fact, soon this week we should get a big check for because there are two primary agencies that process payments for escrow payments for mortgage companies, and they were sent in April, so they take advantage of the discount. So we'll be way ahead soon. In comparison to budget, the budgets were similar in year over year, and actually we're revenue-wise behind the budget, but that's due to the fact that not all the revenues are received in the ratable fashion throughout the year. Obviously, property taxes come in a chunk in the first quarter, and there's nothing further. Income taxes come in throughout the course of the year, and so therefore we're always a little bit behind on the revenue side, especially on taxes that occur throughout the year. In terms of expenses, we were actually ahead of last year, or better than last year slightly. And that is due in part to less spending on the behalf of actually most every category. You're going to see a recurring theme here when we get into the detail. One of the chunks of that is the various salary increase. The salaries are under budget in every case. That's because we had accrued or budgeted monies for increases that are still subject to either negotiation or arbitration. And so until those are resolved, we're going to be ahead of, the budget's going to be higher than the actual. we look here, like I said, the budget's greater than the actual for salaries. Health insurance so far is running better than budget, which is always good because we don't have much control over that expense. The other benefits are way under budget, and that's mostly due to the fact that the pension payments are made once a year, pretty much so in the fourth quarter. So although the expenses for the budget are assuming a 1/12th payment throughout the year. So that's the biggest reason for that favorable variance. And legal, although high, is still running better than budget for the year. Public safety, this is primarily the police department, but also includes volunteer fire department contributions. Once again, salaries are under budget. Health insurance is also under budget, which is good. The other benefits, it's once again the pension that's driving the under budget situation there. And the contributions to the fire departments, we require them to turn in financial information. If they don't turn in financial information on a quarterly basis, they don't get an allocation. So that difference there is primarily due to the fact that we haven't gotten allocations from all the fire departments for the quarter. Streets, once again, salaries are under budget. Health insurance is once again running to the good. Other benefits is pension driven. Snow removal, the over budget there is due to the fact that we've got 2 seasons in terms of snow removal. It's the first quarter and the fourth quarter. And but the budget assumes that we're spending that money throughout the year. And so therefore we're under budget, or over budget in that particular situation only because we're in the first, that represents the purchases for the quarter. We don't obviously buy much salt in the second and third quarters, and so therefore it'll sort of even itself out as we go forward. Parks and Rec, everything there is once again the same kind of situation where the budget is, we're to the good on the budget for essentially the same reasons. Community and other expenses, this is new. We made a new category for recycling this year, and so therefore we're showing the information separately. And in the capital plan, the budget was just under $4 million, and to date we've committed about $173,000. The big difference here is that a good portion of the capital plan is the paving plan, and we can't even start that until May 15th. So we are starting to get stone in and things like that. So we're going to, through the course of the next quarter, more of the capital plan will be filled in. Also, too, we made commitments for 2 more plow trucks, which was finalized in April. So once again, it will be reflective of in the next quarter. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Mark,
Thank you.
Mark, I have one question for you.
Yes.
Just want to clarify. The year-to-date expenses comparison, 2016, 2017, the general government had a significant drop. Is that reflective of the Asbury Woods purchase?
No, Asbury Woods ended up in the community last year,
Okay.
and that was second quarter.
All right.
So we'll see that come in later.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Mark. All right, next on the agenda, we have a request for exemption from land development plan. This is for Frank's Market. I'll refer to our engineer, Rick Morris.
The developer, Kyle Farrick, is proposing a 2,160 square foot addition to an existing greenhouse. And it's to provide an enclosed production space. We recommend that the addition be excused from compliance with formal land development regulations since it's less than 5,000 square feet to an existing, or as an addition to an existing building.
That does not excuse the developer from doing stormwater management, though, correct?
That's correct, and I'm working with him on that.
All right. For obvious reasons, I'm going to refer to our solicitor. Mark, do you see any kind of a issue in exempting this from the land development plan?
No, given the size, I don't think that it's appropriate to follow the course that Rick is recommending.
Okay.
I have a follow-up to that there too, in regards to Rick Morris's statement here. The code, Millcreek Code, the section allows the board at its discretion. Just curious, of course, as we know the area here, and of course it was stated that stormwater management still had to be complied with. Is there a possibility that someone could appeal our discretionary action, whatever that might be today? Is there an appeal process should somebody want to do that?
There is obviously any decision made by the Board of Supervisors can be appealed
Can be
through
appealed, okay.
the normal, process of appealing, supervisor decisions. I think it would be a 30-day appeal period, and they would file an appeal with the Court of Common Pleas. So your approval of this is a matter that would and could be appealable.
Right. Yeah, even though we already have the stormwater covered in this right here. As it is, we will have a stormwater management plan. Okay, I just needed some surety on that.
Well, the difference being there would be no public hearing in front of the planning commission.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
This just streamlines the
Yeah,
process.
I'm okay with it. I just needed some clarification. I just wanted to know myself on that.
Well, there will also be no public hearing before this board, correct?
Correct. Yes.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
But we would still vote on adopting the stormwater management plan?
Well, there would need to be, I think, ultimately a stormwater management agreement, and that would come back before the board, I think, for their approval. And so any plan that was submitted at that time, we could put it together and approve that at the same time.
Okay, and your office handles that then, Rick?
Yes.
That would not go for a third party?
That's correct.
Okay,
Since it's under 5,000 square feet.
all right.
Okay.
Rick, I know I'm relatively new here. I don't recall us exempting the development before. Is this common practice?
Yes, we've done it for years and years, and it's outlined in our subdivision land development ordinance.
It's a discretionary action that we can take. if,
Well, yeah, one
provided
of the
all the other
reasons
facts back up
why we have this is
justification.
because we hear it all the time that government is not helping the small businessman. Well, this is one way in which we can help the small businessman.
True.
Because this is a small addition, so the owner is trying to grow his business.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions or
Okay.
comments?
I think
No.
Yep.
What's it?
I'll make a motion to exempt this project from our land development process. But it still must have stormwater management as already required, just making that
Correct.
statement as a
That's a requirement.
clarification.
John, there was some hesitancy, I could see that.
You won't be, there won't be a second for me, Mr.
All right,
Chair.
I'll second it. Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote no.
I'll vote yes.
And-
Okay.
And I just want to clarify to Mr. Morris's statement that I'm not aware enough, I guess I'm not familiar enough with this project or why we're exempting the parcel to vote yes on. That's why I have nothing against the applicant or Mr. Morris's judgment. I just don't feel I understand the grounds for exemption enough to vote yes, so.
Well, as a brief explanation, it would involve, if you went through the land development process, it would involve a significant amount of time and expense.
That's correct. We're trying to help the small businessman.
But again, that argument, we could exempt almost any development. We've had other small businesses expand that have gone through land development, the planning
It's
commission
different.
reviews.
Had this been a standalone building, it would have been treated differently, and it would have had to have gone through the standard land development plan approval process. But in this case, it's an addition to an existing greenhouse.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, next, bids and quotations received. The first is for the Erie Area Council of Governments Joint Purchasing. These are for bids that were opened on May the 2nd. The first was for culvert and drainage pipe. There were 6 participating municipalities. There were 2 bids received. The first was from Green Distributors and Chemung Supply for 12-inch HDPE pipe and 15-inch HDPE pipe. And we also received a bid from Seneca Mineral. That was for lane pipe, HD 100. And it's the recommendation of the engineering department from Ann Sokol that the award be given to Green Distributors and Chemung as authorized dealers for ADS pipe. And she states that the low bid from Seneca Mineral was for lane pipe, which is not compatible with ADS pipe. And the majority of our pipe that's in the ground is ADS pipe. To make proper repairs and extensions, the township needs to use the correct pipe. With a small price difference, which is very small, 12-inch HDPE from Chemung was $4.30 a linear foot. From Seneca Mineral was $4.25. For the 15-inch was $5.90 from Chemung and $5.89 from Seneca Mineral. So Ann states that with that small price difference, the engineering department recommends award to ADS to assure compatibility. Number one, we're talking about a small amount of money. And Mark, do you see any issue with that because our engineering department is able to justify going with the higher bid?
I think that's appropriate, given the fact that what was bid doesn't work with our existing pipe, and that defeats the purpose then of, getting the material. So I think that is appropriate.
All right. With that, I will move that the award be given to Green Distributors and Chemung Supply for the 12-inch and 15-inch HDPE pipe.
I'll second that.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Mr. McGrath, just so I'm clear, are we voting to approve the COG to make this purchase, or we're voting to accept?
Well, what happens with the COG bids is they go out for bid, the COG goes out for bid, the bids are received and opened. It's up to the individual municipality to make the award. So if by chance one of the other 5 municipalities decided that they were okay with going with the lane pipe, that does not create an issue, they'd be able to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. I vote yes.
How many votes did we get there? John?
Yeah.
All right.
You made the
Let's do
motion,
it
you
again.
seconded it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I second
Motion,
it.
second.
Okay. I
Mr.
vote
Gross?
yes. I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Sorry for the confusion, gentlemen.
Next, we have catch basins, also through the Erie Area Council of Governments. 5 municipalities participated in this, and I'm not going to go through, well, I'll hit these quickly. 2x2s with frame and grate, $477 from Waterford. Precast, 2x3x3 with frame and grate, $627 from Waterford. 2x3x3 risers, $80 from Waterford. 2x3x6-inch riser, $90 each, and 2x3x12-inch risers, $100 each, all from Waterford Precast. Seneca Mineral only bid on the 2x2x2 with frame and grate for $492.80. It's a recommendation of engineering that the award be given to Waterford Precast as the low bidder, and they meet all specifications. So I'll move approval of that.
I'll second that there. I just have a question. Are we going
Yes.
to buy all that we need and put them in this year too? That would be nice if we could do that.
I certainly hope so.
That would be really nice if we
Yes.
could do that, so. Okay, like I said, I second that.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. And next, also through the Erie Area Council of Governments, this is for signposts. The There were 3 participating municipalities, the city, Edinburgh, and Millcreek, and there are a lot of different sizes. The ones that we use are typically the U-channel bar post standard, and it's the recommendation of Dick Whitbread that the purchase be made from the low bidder, Chemung Supply, for the 3-foot, 3.5-foot, 4-foot, 8-foot, 9-foot, 10-foot, and 12-foot signposts. The only other bidder was U.S. Municipal, and Chemung was lower on each of those items. So I would move approval of the award to Chemung Supply.
Okay, and I'll second that one.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have quotes received for various ADA compliance projects, and I'll refer to our engineer on that.
The first involves the David Long Complex parking area project. We solicited 3 quotes. Vavala Concrete submitted a quote at $6,988 even. Amendola Development, $6,335 even. And Daly's Concrete Services submitted no quote. It's our recommendation, after reviewing everything, that we award to the lowest bidder, which is Amendola Development, for $6,355.
And that's a sidewalk project at the complex? David Long
Yes,
Complex?
it's to bring us within compliance of the ADA regulations.
It's for 2 ADA compliant parking spaces. If you recall, the MYAA installed the sidewalks last summer, and we had
okay.
agreed to install the ADA
So this
compliant
is
parking
concrete
spaces.
parking at the complex?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve that contract.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next, Rick?
Lakewood Park ADA compliance project. Once again, we solicited 3 quotes. Vavala Concrete came in at $11,990 even. Amendola Development, $8,370 even. And we received no quote from Daly's Concrete Services. It's our recommendation that we award the Lakewood Park ADA compliance project to Amendola Development, who was a low bidder in the amount of $8,370.
Mr. Morris, just curious, are these bids, are they coming in under budget, or are they about what we budgeted for?
I don't know.
The first, I think that
First was under.
we saw that the first one was, according to this, significantly under budget, according to what we received from Ann, about $4,000 under budget. The second one is about $1,000 over budget. And Mark, that one at Lakewood,
That's
that
also
also
parking.
parking?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
at, by the church?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve that contract for Lakewood Park.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. And finally, for Veterans Park, this is a parking area. Rick?
Yes.
We solicited 3 quotes once again, and the low bidder was Amendola Development at $9,595 even. Vavala Concrete was second at $9,950 even, and we received no quote from Daly's Concrete Services. We recommend awarding it to the lowest bidder, who is Amendola Development, in the amount of $9,595.
And this one also came in under, about $1,600 under budget. Okay, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve that contract for Veterans Park.
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have a memo from Jessica James Stutzman in regard to the upcoming Special Collection Day at Millfair Recycling Center. She would like to send out postcards as a reminder. This would be for 28,500 postcards. And there's a quote attached to the memo for $1,789. And according to Jessica, 80% will be reimbursed by grant funding. And this is on a CoStarz contract. So I would move approval of that.
Yep, I'll second that.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Can I just make a quick comment about
Yes.
that? Folks, this is a really good opportunity to get rid of stuff the correct way. If you've got junk around the house, things, I think the tires are one of them, if you've got them. There is a cost to get rid of tires, depending on the size of it. If you've got a propane tank, this is just a great way of getting rid of all this stuff, and we get reimbursed through a grant, so please take advantage of this. It is on Saturday, May the 20th, from 9 a.m. till 12 noon at the Recycling Center on Millfair Road, so please take advantage of it.
And as long as we're talking about reminders then, the only unacceptable items, bed springs, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Electronics, fluorescent
Yes.
lights, gas tanks, paint and paint thinner, pesticides, and trash, household
Regular
trash.
garbage, yeah.
And all of those would be, well, except for the trash, of course, you could have picked up at your door by simply calling Advanced Disposal and setting up an appointment. Okay. Next, we have a request from Gary Snyder, our Public Works Director, to purchase 2 air compressors. One is for the garage and one is for the Streets Department for the asphalt plant. Both are on CoStar's contracts 103219. They're saving $250 by making both purchases at the same time. The cost for the garage unit is $3,112. For the asphalt plant, $10,271, for a total of $13,383, and both came in under budget. So I would move approval of those purchases.
And I will second those purchases.
Mr. Grove?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. And also from Gary Snyder, the purchase of a mini excavator for the sewer department. This is also on a CoStar's contract, contract number 4400011424. And this also came in under budget. The cost is $70,009.76. And I would move approval of that.
And I'll second that purchase.
Mr. Groh?
Vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have streetlight assessment billing forms, and I'll refer to Mark Zukcheski for that.
Yes, we, in order to get the streetlight assessments out, we need new form stock. We used up what we had last year, and so this is part of the cost of doing business with the streetlight assessments for $1,490.60.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve that purchase.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. From Ashley Marsteller, our Parks and Rec Director, we had trouble with the Bell Valley Pool last year with a pretty significant leak. Ashley attempted to obtain multiple quotes. She received one quote from William T. Spader for $5,000. She also contacted, among others, Mach Plumbing, who did not quote, and Longo Plumbing, who also did not quote. Ashley tells us that she also attempted, I think, 2 or 3 others. So the only quote that we received was from William Spader for $5,000, and she did budget $10,000 for that project. So I will move that William Spader be awarded that contract.
And I'll second that.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. And also from Gary Snyder, permission to purchase 4 mobile lift columns for the garage on CoStar's contract 025-254. The price would be $40,705. The price is slightly over budget, which was, Gary budgeted $37,000. The price difference reflects an increase for this year. Gary obtained the budget numbers either late October or early November of last year. Gary said that with the savings on the compressors, that will cover the difference. So I would move that the 4 lifts be purchased from Gray Lift through the Keystone Spring, which is a local company.
Okay, I'll second that purchase.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have a new or amended ordinance under review, and this is for the provisions of the sign ordinance, and I'll refer to our solicitor on this.
Cameramen are not ready. There we go. I wanted to do a short presentation with respect to modifications that are being proposed for the sign ordinance, which is part of the zoning code. Why are the amendments necessary? And I'd say there's two types of amendments we're making. First is to eliminate any content-based references, and I'll explain why we need to do that later, as well as a general update of our sign ordinance with respect to various just cleaning some things up that might have been inconsistent, as well as just updating the ordinance to some current language that's being used in various models. In terms of the main motivator for the amendments is in June of 2015, the Supreme Court issued a ruling in Reed versus Town of Gilbert that significantly impacted the constitutionality of sign ordinances, throughout the United States. The background in that case is there was a sign ordinance that placed stricter limitations on directional signs that were advertising events than signs that displayed, political or ideological messages. And in particular, it was a sign that a church was using to identify where and when their services were going to be held. And they had left the sign up longer than what was allowed under the ordinance. The municipality went after them and cited them for doing that, and the church sued the town, arguing that it was a violation of its First Amendment rights. The Supreme Court, in a rare instance, voted 9-0 in favor of the church, holding that, in fact, that the code violated the First Amendment. And the court essentially indicated that content-based regulations would be presumptively unconstitutional, and that strict scrutiny, which is the highest level of scrutiny under the First Amendment, would apply, and that there needed to be a compelling government interest for any types of limitation based on content to be found constitutional. And they generally indicated that a regulation on its face that considers the message on a sign to determine how the sign is regulated would be viewed as content-based and subject to this strict scrutiny. There was a concurrence, which is also important in trying to evaluate, what type of changes we need to make and how we can make them. Justice Alito, who was joined by a couple of other justices, identified several types of signs regulations that they thought would still be viewed as content neutral, and he provided a list that would include regulating the size of signs would be okay, the number of signs, the locations of signs, whether it's on private or public property, commercial versus residential, on premises or off premises. Those types of conditions would be allowable. Distinguishing between illuminated and electric signs, as well as recognizing that the government itself may erect signs to promote safety, as well as directional signs with respect to pointing out historic sites and scenic spots. The end result of this case is that jurisdictions throughout the country are really wrestling with how do we now regulate signs in our municipality. Looking at the various topics, commercial versus non-commercial distinctions, the Supreme Court allows municipalities to make this distinction. Reed was not a commercial speech case, so it did not overrule any prior commercial speech cases. And prior to Reed, the clear majority of justices agreed that municipalities could regulate commercial speech, that was not a kind of a de facto unconstitutional manner of regulation. And that they also concluded that commercial speech couldn't be treated more favorably than non-commercial speech. So in this case, to the extent our ordinance included commercial speech provisions, those have relatively been left unchanged, relying on the prior Supreme Court precedents. On premises versus off premises, post-Reed, that distinction we believe likely remains. The regulation challenged in Reed would only apply to temporary non-commercial signs. The case didn't discuss the distinction between on-premises and off-premises. This was something that Alito's concurrence indicated would be okay. And the majority of the post-Reed decisions, in other words, courts that have decided, sign cases after the Reed decision, have upheld challenges to regulations that distinguish between on-premises and off-premises commercial speech. They've indicated that those are okay. There are some of those types of distinctions in our ordinance. Some of those we've removed just because of it made more sense in terms of how the ordinance now flows, and some have been left in place. Really, the heart of it is content-based versus content-neutral. Vast majority of the proposed changes to the code are necessary because there were portions that were content-based which would be impermissible under Reed. Our intent was to eliminate any of the content-based regulations. As an example, if you go through the proposed changes, there's a number of definitions in the existing code that we had determined that were content-based, so we either changed them or they were just simply eliminated. Also, there were various sections on exempt signs and temporary signs that had to be significantly changed. Some key definition changes, commercial speech. We tied this into how it's defined by the relevant case law in order to make sure that we have it well defined. Second, we made some changes to the actual definition of sign. One of the key things in there is that we've indicated that decorations are not signs. Oftentimes you'll see in a sign ordinance a regulation that allows holiday decorations or during certain time periods, and courts have actually post-Reed found those to be unconstitutional because they're content-based. So we've just essentially identified decorations in a generic sense that they're not signs. Abandoned signs, regulating that by a time period that would trigger application. The definition of flag is now based on material and construction. It's not based on the type of flag. There have been cases subsequent to Reed that have found unconstitutional provisions that determine versus the types of flags as opposed to how they're constructed. Government regulatory signs, we've now referenced that they're based out carrying out official duties or something that's required by federal or state law. On-premises sign is now tied to commercial messages. A temporary sign is now based on material and construction, how the sign is constructed. It's no longer based on what type of sign it is. Our prior ordinance identified a number of types of signs that are temporary. We've eliminated all of those content-based descriptions, and so a temporary sign is now simply based on what type of material it is and how it's constructed. The exemption section, it was formerly titled exempt, but we decided to make a change in that title. Some of the courts have been concerned about the exemption concept, and really it's just a clarification that these simply are signs that don't need a permit. They're not exempt from the other types of regulations that may apply. The general regulations for signs in section 14578 would still apply to signs that don't need a permit. The existing code has several content-based exemptions, including references to government flags, yard sale signs, real estate signs, contractor signs. All of those have been eliminated. Now the flag exemption would cover covers all non-commercial flags. We eliminated the government, non-government distinction and made various changes to other things to eliminate the idea of things that are content-based. Temporary signs, this is probably the section that has changed the most. The existing code, as I indicated, was content-based because it's regulating the sign based on its use. There were references to political signs, special event signs, etc. We've made the changes to make them content-neutral because now they're being regulated based on how the sign is constructed and where it is located. Essentially, non-permanently affixed. It's not permanently affixed to the property. The display area is made of non-permanent material, paper, cardboard, those types of things, and it's located on private property. We also impose various content-neutral limitations regarding the maximum area, the maximum height, as well as the maximum number of the signs, depending upon what zoning district it may be located in. It also prohibits illumination of the sign and imposes construction and maintenance standards on the sign. All of these are non-content-based type applications. various changes we've made within the zoning districts, and many of these are just cleaning up those regulations in those districts, as well as some of the content-based stuff. In the residential district, there's imposition of a general sign area limit of 5 square feet. It allows temporary signs so long as you meet the requirements of that portion of the ordinance. We've eliminated, there was some content-based language in that section relating to construction development signs, real estate signs, and yard sale signs. We've eliminated those references. This is one area where we did eliminate the on-premise, off-premise distinction. It just didn't make sense given how we've now laid out the ordinance to do that. We've modified language relating to permanent signs on various types of properties. These were in the past more content-based, and now they're based on location. And that has also has a different size area that you're allowed for with respect to the size of the signs. Commercial districts, again, same thing. C1 commercial imposed a general sign area limit of 32 square feet. Prohibits off-premises signs. This is one where we kept that concept. C2, 3, 4, and resort commercial. We added a section on marquee signs that we didn't have before. There was a promotional sign section that we took out, clarified the size of the signs that are allowed there, and then in industrial districts, again, the on-premises, off-premise distinction no longer made sense to keep. There were a number of updates that were unrelated to the content-based issues that we made under the general regulations. The signs are now to be constructed in accordance with the requirements of the Pennsylvania Construction Code. Enables us to regulate, how the signs are constructed and take action if there's a problem with how they're constructed. Same thing with respect to maintenance of the signs. They have to be maintained in accordance with the property maintenance code. Again, it gives us the ability, if someone's not properly maintaining the sign, it gives us something that we can then attach, make take our action under. We also added a sign illumination section that gave more detail with respect to how signs can be lit. Permitting makes it unlawful to erect a sign without a permit unless there's not a permit needed for the sign that's being erected, and it also authorizes imposing permit fees. We also included a specific substitution clause in this section in case any portion of this would be found to be unconstitutional. Prohibited signs, we added a variety of prohibited signs, including placing any type of signs in the township right-of-ways, placing a sign in the state right-of-way if no permit is issued from the state, signs that promote illegal activity, snipe signs. Snipe signs are the type of signs you see posted on telephone poles, and those types of things are now prohibited, as well as abandoned signs. With respect to enforcement, failure to maintain can be enforced under the property maintenance code. Failure to properly construct it can be enforced then under the UCC. Unlawful signs can be removed by the township at the owner's expense after 30 days notice of violation. But in addition, though, the signs that present immediate dangers or are located in the right-of-way may be removed immediately. I think that's it.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
As many of you may know, I'm a former zoning and building code official with more years of experience than I want to talk about, but it seems that, of course, we're updating our ordinance, which is the right thing to do. We run into that snafu last year in regards to a political sign. I just want to make sure that those who may be reporting the story is the content neutral signs. We're not identifying political signs as the only one. We also have real estate signs and any other sign that is included as part of it there. So it's not centered around political signs. But I can tell you in my experience that political signs had always been one of the big topics of discussion. I was always get a call from an opposing candidate complaining about the opposition, the location, the size, the height, whatever the case might be. And it seemed that those were almost an exercise in futility when it come to trying to enforce on those matters. One of the other matters was real estate signs. Believe it or not, they're kind of like sharks, the real estate people. Nothing against them, but they want to make a sale, and I can understand their need to identify the property and give directionals to that property that's for sale, open houses and so on. We did have some problems in that experience. But one of the ones that's come up more lately, or recently in the last 5-10 years, and I think Mr. Pierce could back me up on this, the illumination of signs, namely the billboard signs that are like a jumbotron out there. We've had some concerns brought up by residents in the township. So there's a variety of things that happen with signs. It appears that what we're doing on this, and I think is going to be good. But of course, I think always there can be a challenge to it there. Every law, as Mark mentioned earlier today, can be challenged. Any action that we take as a board of supervisors, there might be somebody out there, if they have the time and the money and wish to have the effort into challenging. I'm not suggesting they do, but I think we're done a pretty good job on this here. So I think we're in the right direction on it. So that's just my view on it from years of experience. Thanks.
John?
Mr. Ra, I have a couple questions. All these updates, when it comes to a commercial developer, industrial developer, and they're going to come in and work with our engineering department, they're going to be reviewing the ordinance, and they're going to be very well versed. But as far as our residents, I think the big impact to them is they want to know about these temporary signs. That's the real impact to our residents. So just for clarification, we are not, with this ordinance, we're not regulating the amount of time the temporary sign can be put up in someone's yard?
Correct.
And we made some comments about certain areas of the ordinance are still discerning signs from commercial and non-commercial speech. Does that apply to temporary signs as well?
Yes.
So a temporary sign in a residential area that is primarily for commercial advertising would not be permitted, or would be?
I believe that's viewed as off premises with respect to that, and I believe it would not be permitted.
Okay. And there's no limitation for the number of temporary signs a resident?
Although I think we did create a provision that if someone is working at the property at the time, that
They can advertise while they're working.
right.
Okay. The only thing I think we should probably want to clarify as part of the ordinance is maybe put together some kind of a general explanation on the website so residents know, the public right-of-way is kind of nebulous, right? Not everybody knows exactly where the right-of-way line is. If you're not out there with an engineer or architect or landscape architect, it's hard to actually define it. But generally, for folks, if you're putting a sign up, you want it
I mean, there's
basically on the inside of the sidewalk. Or
yeah,
the
there's some
inside
rules
of
of
the telephone
there's
pole.
kind of some rules of thumb that typically where sidewalks are located is often the edge of right of way, and then where telephones are located is often the edge of the right of way. So it's kind of a rule of thumb to follow. If you put your sign between a telephone pole or a sidewalk and the street, you're probably in the right of way.
Okay. So maybe want to have some kind of clarification on the website, a diagram for folks. That's probably makes folks nervous as well. I don't want to put a sign up and get dinged by the township. And even in that case, I imagine, and Matt, we've got one of our code enforcement officers here. Imagine in the case that we see a temporary sign in the public right of way, we're probably going to knock on somebody's door before we just take the sign down or cite them, right?
That would be our department's approach.
Okay.
In most cases, to address the right-of-way issue, in most cases on a township road, it's in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 feet from the edge of pavement. So back towards your house. So as long as you're 12 feet off of the edge of pavement towards your house, you're probably out of the right-of-way. Don't get any closer than that. You run that issue. Anything else, John?
That's all I wanted to clarify.
I found it a little bit curious, Mark, at the beginning of your presentation. The town of Gilbert went after a church.
Yeah.
Boy. We went after somebody raising bees and got all kinds of grief for it. I can imagine if we went after a church. I was in Hudson. Our daughter lives in Hudson, Ohio, and I was there Sunday. And they're in the midst of a primary election, and you drive around Hudson, Ohio, and anybody who's ever been to Hudson, Ohio, as a matter of fact, our planning commission went there several years ago because of their sign ordinances. They have very restrictive, very good, but restrictive ordinances that cover commercial signs. And if you drive through Hudson, Ohio, you don't know, or you don't recognize some of the businesses compared to other locations because the way the signs are, the commercial signs are. They're low to the ground, they're wood, they're very nice. They're very good sign ordinance in Hudson, Ohio. They also handle their, we'll call temporary signs, in this case, political signs, by local associations. Whether it's a commercial association or a residential homeowners association, they handle the regulations for temporary signs, for political signs. And it's done very well. We can't rely on that because a lot of people don't live in associations and a lot of businesses aren't part of business associations. So we can't rely on that. So we have to do that ourselves via ordinances. And I have, John, you mentioned it, I have no doubt that somewhere along the line, this is going to be challenged.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's going to say that they don't like something about this ordinance and it's going to be challenged. We have to do something. If you drive around Millcreek Township today, to be perfectly frank, our township looks like hell. There are signs everywhere, great big monster signs on every corner, and our township looks awful. So we have to do something. Hopefully this, and Mark, I'll give you a lot of credit, this took a lot of work, took a lot of time, and hopefully this holds up because we have to do something. And if this does hold up, and hopefully it will, I think that this will be a good template for other municipalities to do something on their own. As I stated to the media, we looked for other ordinances, and Mark, you looked, there just aren't any.
Yeah, there's not much out there at this point, because it's, I mean, even though, you know, people may say, oh, you know, it was back in 2015, that's not a long time, and, you know, for purposes of modifying an ordinance and bringing it up to speed, in part because you also want to wait to see how, you know, how the decision may shake out in the lower courts in terms of how new courts are now interpreting this rule, so you don't end up having to redo your ordinance, you know, multiple times because courts have now gone in a variety of directions. So there really was not a whole lot out there. You know, there was some stuff out there that was very helpful, but there was other stuff that we just had to simply, you know, use our best judgment in terms of, in light of that case, in light of the cases that have come down since then, you know, what we think, you know, would be, you know, would stand a constitutional challenge. Yeah.
And I mentioned to the media that I called our state association to ask to see if they had any kind of ordinances that had withstood a challenge, and they said, hey, good luck with that one. There just aren't any. So we were kind of on our own with this one, and we'll see what happens.
Let me just make one quick comment. I don't want to belabor this matter, but of course, as we know, signs, and of course the court ruling had to do with the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And just my own view, and I think everybody here, even in the room here, will share the fact that with free speech comes responsibility, good judgment, and good taste. It doesn't mean that you get the right to scream and yell and carry on like a fool. Of course, this last election, and I've seen how we are as a society, we've become more polarized, and the more and more we want to try to use that First Amendment right. I understand that. You know, I like the First Amendment. I like all the amendments that are, you know, to the Bill of Rights. But the fact is, there comes a time where you've got to have good taste and good judgment. Like we are here in the rooms here, the people that come up to speak, you know, they don't use any cussing words, we hope not, and we keep it clean up here too. It's just a matter of good taste and good judgment, I think. And I do hope that as a society that we can get our act together and start being a little more civil about things while observing our right to free speech. I'm not trying to sound like a patriot or anything like that, but just my own observation. It's just something that is a little troublesome at these times. Thanks.
Mark, what's the process now?
Yeah, just in terms of the process, because this is an amendment to the zoning code, we have previously provided drafts of the ordinance to the Planning Commission, the Millcreek Township Planning Commission, as well as the Erie County Planning. The Planning Commission, I made a similar presentation to them at their last meeting. They had various questions, but did not have any objections or substantive changes to anything that had been proposed. I don't believe we've heard anything back from Erie County Planning at this point. The May 23rd at the next supervisor meeting, we're required to have a hearing on this ordinance, and then following the conclusion of that hearing, I would suggest and recommend that the supervisors consider the passage of the ordinance.
We discussed previously the folks that may be most impacted by this change in our ordinance, which would be the real estate business, those running for political office, and what was the other one? Well, commercial.
Yeah, commercial.
If perhaps through the Erie Chamber. Should or could some kind of notification go out to those groups to let them know that we're going to have this public hearing, maybe send them a copy of it and see if they have any comments?
That certainly wouldn't hurt to do, I believe.
So they have advance notification, and if there are comments, let's hear them now.
I mean, they certainly would have had the opportunity to see the public notice that is published, because the hearing gets published twice in the newspaper, and then there was, in fact, an article in the newspaper this morning that covered it as well. So,
And I believe that this is on our website also, right?
yes.
So we can simply notify them that, hey, check out our website. Okay.
Mark, if someone were to go to the website and want to submit comments to us, is it more appropriate for them to send it to you, to Chuck, to Cheryl?
Probably I would send them to Chuck, and then he could forward them on.
All right, so
Send
we'll
them to
make
the
a
zoning
note on
office.
the website to submit comments to the zoning office through Chuck Pierce then.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
That-
All right, then this will proceed through the process.
Yeah, I did, if I could, just one thing, Brian, you had mentioned about the homeowners association, and I just want people to understand that homeowners associations can regulate signs in any fashion that they wish. Oftentimes, you will see the homeowners association have provisions that prohibit signs in their association. Township doesn't get involved in any of that. That is, ends up being a private, frankly, contract matter between the people who own property within that association and the association. So just to kind of clarify that.
Yes, we don't enforce them.
No.
And although my home is not in an association, there are deed restrictions against signs. So, again, we don't enforce those either.
Correct.
Sure, I'll accept questions from you. This is kind of a big deal, and
My name's Don Blazansky. We have 4218 West 28th Street. It's in regard to realtor signs. My wife and I recently purchased the middle lot up on the hill on above 38th Street on Colonial. Baldwin has a big, it looks like about 4 foot by 8 foot advertising the lots. Is that allowed?
well, now it is.
It is now?
After this ordinance is passed, if
Well-
that's zoned residential,
Yeah, it depends on what zoning district it is, will
Okay, I
determine
was
the
just wondering,
sign
because
size.
it looks pretty ratty and it's been there a long time.
Yeah.
It was on our land, and when after we purchased it, they dragged it over to the corner lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions from the public?
Any other questions, comments? All right, then we will move on to number 10 on the agenda, Resolution 2017-R19. This is a resolution adopting a community development block grant program for anti-displacement and relocation assistance. We were informed by the county, who administers our community development block grant, that when the township became eligible for our own CDBG monies back in, I think it was like the mid-90s, that we no longer were covered under the county's plan that they had for the anti-displacement and relocation assistance. So we were advised by the county that we needed to adopt our own resolution. This is a resolution for our CDBG program for anti-displacement and relocation assistance. In a nutshell, if we have a CDBG project that impacts residences and folks are displaced because of that project, that we are to take efforts to, according to this, identify the reasonable steps the township will take to minimize the displacement of persons from their homes as a result of a CDBG-assisted project. So that's, like I say, in a nutshell, what this resolution would be covering. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll move to approve Resolution 2017 R19.
Is there a second?
I'll second, and I also want to clarify to the public that as part of this plan and policy, it is noted that the general policy of Millcreek Township is to not undertake any CDBG projects that would directly or indirectly displace residents. So this is a last resort measure, and we consider it as such. That's a last resort measure. So in any improvement we're going to make it a point to not displace residents, but in the rare instance, this is the policy and procedure for helping relocate folks.
In the 20-some years that we've been receiving the HUD money, that's never been the case. Most of them have been, and more recently, sidewalks.
Yeah, or more so relocating lawns.
Right, right. And prior to that, it was road
stands.
improvements.
Yeah.
So we don't typically, we have never undertaken any kind of a project like that.
Brian, if I could, I would note that this is consistent with the CDBG regulations as well under federal law.
We're just
so-
more or less adopting what they suggest.
Yes.
Did we vote on that, Cheryl?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I gave the motion.
Okay.
And then
Second?
Yeah.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
I vote yes. Next, we have Resolution 2017 R20. This is in regard to the disposal of township records. I'll refer to Mark on that.
Okay. Per the regulation, we are requesting to dispose of certain records that come from three different groups within the department. First is the police department. These are dash cam videos that are 5 months or so old. None of them are less than 5 months old. None of them are involved in active investigations. So just is to get rid of these from the server and create space. The other one's from Diane Lyons. These are records of administrative records that are eligible for disposal after a certain period of time per the PA Historical Record Society. And then the last one is from my area, and it's extensive because we cleaned out a bunch of stuff that's been hanging around forever. Some of these records go back to the 70s and 80s and God knows when. So pursuant to our procedure, we are requesting the permission to dispose of these records.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2017 R20.
And I'll second that.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have, this is an indemnification agreement for IHOP. I'll refer to Mr. Morris.
When a developer wishes to tie into a PennDOT stormwater facility within their right-of-way, PennDOT makes the developer complete a highway occupancy permit application, and they make the township, in this case, any municipality, indemnify the department for those stormwater facilities that will be located within the PennDOT right-of-way. So in order to protect ourselves, we as a township make sure that the developer is indemnifying the township. So this indemnification agreement and an authorization for the township engineer, me, to sign a PennDOT form allows the developer to proceed with this project. In this case, Sanford Surveying and Engineering is his engineer. This will allow him to apply for the HOP, Highway Occupancy Permit, as the township's agent. This is on a standard form and we recommend approval. For each $1,500 that it is estimated at 3 years after construction, the developer is required to set aside in perpetuity $5,000. So in this case, for 10 feet of 12-inch pipe, and tying into an existing PennDOT catch basin, the developer, because the estimated cost is a little over $3,000, has to put $15,000 aside forever.
And that's,
That's a PennDOT rule.
Yes,
Well,
it is.
so if
That's-
they
that's-
had the
that's our
municipality
agreement.
left.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Sorry.
PennDOT requires that fund to be set aside.
No, they actually require the township to indemnify them, but we're protecting ourselves by making sure the developer puts that aside in case those stormwater facilities ever need any cleaning, replacement, any maintenance of any type.
This is the issue that started with Walmart on Route 20, the new Walmart.
Yes.
Where we had lots of meetings and PennDOT more or less said that we don't care if it's going to create a whole bunch of jobs and it's going to be millions of dollars in construction. If you don't sign this agreement with the state, it goes away. So, as you so aptly put previously, this was the gun to our heads.
Yep.
And it happens all over the state that if we, the municipality, don't agree to indemnify PennDOT, the project goes away.
That's correct.
Well, and the odd thing is, Rick, as an engineer, I mean, the stormwater facilities essentially are part of a roadway project, and they should be considered part of a roadway project. Where the water goes from the runoff needs to be accommodated for. We do that with our local roads. We have to make sure that we're not flooding people's properties. We have to make sure that the public infrastructure is complete and not just road edge to road edge, correct?
That's correct.
But PennDOT doesn't have that purview of their projects.
Mr. Morris, in the document itself, there's a reference to either checking off whether this will be money held in an escrow or a letter of credit. Neither is checked, so do we know which they are doing?
No, I don't.
I mean, I see that they signed the document, but of the two options that are available, neither one is checked off.
They may not have decided. I don't know. In either case, township's indemnification will be indemnified.
I would suggest that any approval then is subject to them selecting the appropriate option. Sure.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with the condition that the method of identification is clarified prior to the board signing off on it.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have the appointment of a alternate member to the zoning hearing board. John?
Thank you, Chairman. We've had a vacancy on as the zoning board alternate for a number of weeks now, and Mr. McGrath has actually, you recruited Mr. Bill Bridger.
Yes.
Approached the board. Mr. Bridger has been a long-time Millcreek resident, graduate of McDowell High School, is journeyman tool and die maker, toolmaker for Pendleton Toll Company, a Millcreek firm for over 36 years. Currently employed as general manager of the Burton Funeral Home, a member of the Westridge Fire Department, member of the board of directors of the Millcreek Paramedic Service. So we feel he's a dedicated Millcreek resident with he's demonstrated good judgment, served on several community boards, and would be an appropriate appointment to our zoning hearing board. So I would make a motion that we appoint Mr. Bridger as the alternate for the Millcreek Township Zoning Hearing Board.
I'll second that one.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have a memorandum of understanding for a multi-municipal collaboration request, and I'll refer to Mr. Morgan on this one.
Mr. Chairman, we have a couple of requests, and I apologize that the second request didn't make it onto the agenda today. The Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority, just for some background before both of our presenters come up, the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority has grant funds available for multi-municipal collaboration. Eligible applicants are municipalities, certain nonprofit groups, the COG. Of course, we're not eligible to apply directly, neither Summit or any of the contiguous municipalities to Summit. But we have before us today are two nonprofit groups that are seeking funds from this grant, but if you're a nonprofit, you require municipal partners through memorandums of understandings to participate in the projects. The first will be the Jefferson Educational Society. Mr. Ben Spagan will be giving us an overview of their proposal. And then Mr. Ben Pratt will be coming up for a proposal from the Erie Enterprise Development Center, requesting us a partner on one of their grant requests. Mr. Grove's been working with the Jefferson Society on their proposal. I've been in contact with Mr. Ben Pratt regarding their proposal, and they're here today to educate the board on what they're trying to accomplish and request our support.
Okay. Gentlemen?
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. I'll be brief. For the Jefferson Educational Society, we have formed the Jefferson Alliance for Community Progress that was founded in 2015. Two key initiatives that are operated under that division are the Jefferson Leadership Academy, Jefferson Civic Leadership Academy, as well as the Jefferson Dinners. We've used ECRA grant funding to support this initiative since its inception in 2015. The MOUs are in front of you to outline that. To give a brief overview, the Leadership Academy is geared toward individuals 25 to 45 age in Erie County. They study for 7 months county government, the form and function of county, differences between city government, county government, municipalities, townships, boroughs. We take a retreat to Harrisburg to better understand our connection to state government and our place here in Erie, Pennsylvania. Last year we met with Governor Wolf. We also met with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Saylor. We met with representatives from the House and the Senate, as well as leadership there. We also met with key policy advisors because an important part of what the Civic Leadership Academy does is a group action project designed to improve the overall quality of Erie County, facing a critical issue in the area. Last year we took a look at blight in Erie County. In the packet that you have in front of you is the culminating research from last year's group, which does include remarks from Millcreek. During the countywide sessions, we meet with representatives throughout the county for their municipalities. We met with Supervisor Grow last year to talk to him about coding and enforcement in Millcreek and the challenges present here, as well as the successes. Some of those successes are featured in this document. The individuals that are part of the cohort produced this document. 26 graduated last year. They present their findings to the public upon graduation, the initial findings, and then present again more fully during the Jefferson Educational Society regularly scheduled programming. We are again looking to put together a cohort for 2017. We are on pace to have that cohort at about the same capacity that we had last year. We believe in the importance of keeping the number of participants between 25 to 35 so that it's a more intimate experience for those participating, a chance for them to network, work together to better understand their roles across diverse sectors. We also look to ensure that we have participants from throughout the county, that it's not just concentrated in the city, it's not just concentrated in Corey, Pennsylvania, it's not just concentrated in Northeast. Part of that is partnering with these townships to ensure that we have representation, that they can bring their perspective from where they live, also where they work. Along with the Civic Leadership Academy, we also host the Jefferson Dinners. The Jefferson Dinners convene elected officials from throughout the county to talk about the history, challenges, and futures of our area. Two that we've done recently, we brought up the Secretary of Education for the state of Pennsylvania, Pedro Rivera. Prior to that, we brought up the Secretary of Agriculture, Russell Redding. We had discussions there involving Erie County and how to move forward with that. Both of these are designed on a World Bank report study that revealed that to help areas grow their civic foundation, it's critical to have a civic leadership academy for young people interested in being engaged in their community, as well as a convening event for elected officials already serving the region in which they live. Both of these have been successful. We are excited to move forward with this project, but it is contingent upon grant funding, which is through the multi-municipal collaboration grant with ECRA, which we have received the full amount that we've requested both in 2015 and 2016.
Questions?
I think is a pretty good explanation
Mhm.
what it's about, yeah.
Well, Jim, I'll just point out, Mr. Began was kind enough to work with us on negotiating an MOU. As part of the MOU agreement, Jefferson Leadership Academy agrees to set aside a $1,500 scholarship for Millcreek Township residents to be eligible for. Part of that agreement would be to supply us with a list of eligible applicants for review and comment. Obviously, Mr. Spegan has his own selection criteria for applicants for the program. So they'll have final discretion, but we do appreciate them setting aside funds that Millcreek residents can more affordably participate in the program. We hope Millcreek residents would be more likely to apply and take advantage of a scholarship fund set aside as kind of a thank you for us participating in, with this MOU. Is that an accurate assessment, Ben?
That is correct. We do charge a tuition fee for the Leadership Academy. It's $1,500, but the Jefferson tries to offer as much scholarship opportunity as possible to make sure that financial barriers are not a burden or obstacle in the path of anyone looking to further their civic education in Erie County. We are happy to work with the township to ensure that that is not a barrier for a participant from Millcreek to make sure those funds are available.
And there's no commitment by the township except for?
No financial
entering-
commitment from the township. It's fully on the backs of the Jefferson. By design, this helps us work with municipalities because this is a county-wide effort. This is something designed to improve the overall quality of the entire county. And this shows that we are working with municipalities to achieve these efforts.
Good.
But there's an expectation that we'll help advocate for the program, advocate for the dinners, and raise awareness for those programs.
Correct.
All right. Anything else? Thank you.
I'm good there, yeah.
We would need then a motion to approve the MOU.
Okay, I'll move to approve that MOU with the Jefferson Society.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. And now we'll hear from
Pratt. Good morning. My name is Ben Pratt, Vice President of the Erie Regional Chamber and Growth Partnership, and also Vice Chairman of the Erie Enterprise Development Center of Erie County. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Enterprise Development Center, I'll give you a brief background. The Enterprise Development Center is a 501c3 economic development organization specifically designed to assist in real estate redevelopment, most specifically commercial and industrial redevelopment purposes. We have a 501c3 organization for this purpose, specifically to act as a tool and provide assistance for both public and private partnerships to collaborate to help advance redevelopment efforts throughout Erie County. I'm here to request a memorandum of understanding for the multi-municipal collaboration grant for ECRA, specifically to go under contract with a firm called the National Development Council. The National Development Council is a 501c3 organization that is nationally recognized as the gold standard for community and economic development financing. They provide assistance to communities across the nation, helping them identify resources and work with communities to evaluate their current threshold of resources and evaluate what are called capital stack programs. So essentially, we recognize that both Millcreek and Summit are undergoing a comprehensive planning process, and that comprehensive planning process could really benefit from the opportunity to go under through this memorandum of understanding, a partnership with the NDC to help identify ways that we can leverage municipal resources in addition to identifying resources that are currently not being utilized by both Summit and Millcreek. Like I mentioned, we are requesting a similar memorandum of understanding from Summit. There is no financial obligation to either townships. And at the same point, the other partners suggested in this is Erie County Planning, or Erie County, and the Erie Regional Chamber and Growth Partnership. So members of the Enterprise Development Center board include the Erie County Redevelopment Authority, which is chair, myself as vice chair, the Enterprise, the City Enterprise Zone, Chris Groner, Bridgeway Capital, the Erie County Planning Department, 2 private sector representatives, one a bank that changes each year. At this moment, it's Northwest Savings Bank, and another Dave Tullio for custom engineering. We specifically designed this 501c3 to bring together those critical resources that typically communicate during redevelopment processes to help build the capacity of the collaboration that can be really utilized throughout, implementation of commercial and redevelopment. In the components of the actual contract with NDC, NDC essentially provides technical assistance. It's a 2-way communication component where they work with the project team, which would be comprised of those partners that I mentioned, where we would ask that you specifically identify a representative from Millcreek, and we would ask for one from Summit to play as a project team member, and they would come in. They would not only provide 2 6-hour sessions, training sessions to municipal leaders, community leaders, stakeholders in the community, board members of specific financial institutions that typically are involved in economic redevelopment, and would go through a training process that can help get everyone on the same page as to the roles and responsibilities of financial institutions when it comes to credit analysis, the vetting of developers, a lot of the things that as a certified economic developer I'm aware of, but a lot of the, a number of us are still, there's just so many moving parts in this, and I myself, even being trained, can continue to be learning of ways to better utilize these resources and understand these processes. In addition to the technical assistance to walk through those processes, NDC will work with the municipalities, Summit and Millcreek, to identify specific sites within the municipality that they can walk the municipality and the project team from market feasibility all the way to completion or the deal generation. They not only will introduce, develop resources to connect the municipalities to developers, but also to resources that are exclusively available to clients of the National Development Council, specifically the Grow America Fund. This fund is only offered to communities where NDC is available, and that fund specifically is a low-interest loan for small business development. In addition, it will, there is a pool of new market tax credits that are available through the NDC program that would be open to these types of applications. So there is a lot of information here. I have the project description and details here that I can provide all of you, in which we can also.
Is that what was emailed earlier, Ben?
Yeah, we have copies of that, Ben.
Because of the complexity of this, I'm happy to answer any questions. I know that this is kind of out of left field, so.
Questions?
I have a couple. Just to clarify, the local, who will be the actual local project manager for this effort?
The Enterprise Development Center would be the project manager. So it would be that board of directors made up of all those economic development partners with an appointee from Millcreek and an appointee from Summit.
But it says here the lead staff is Rick Novotny, so Rick will be the actual the actual lead staffer.
Yes, there is a management agreement with the Enterprise Development Center to hire that is in place that hires the Erie County Redevelopment Authority's staff to manage the day-to-day operations of the Enterprise Development Center.
And when you say the NDCs that will offer assistance with development of sites, are we talking actual, are we talking assistance with developing specific properties, or with creating kind of corridor development plans for areas of the township, or what exactly? I'm not exactly sure what the bailiwick is as far as what they actually provide services for.
We didn't want to get too specific in the description because of the flexibility and expertise of NDC. They can go as specific as you identify a catalytic site within your community that you think is like, we need to do something with this building in Millcreek, it's been sitting vacant, or we have something that, you know, we want to identify ways that we can attract a developer there to reposition it to be more marketable for development or for a business to move in. Or it can go as far as helping identify ways to introduce financing solutions for an area. For instance, if you were to introduce an enterprise zone for Millcreek, or an innovation zone for Millcreek, or a corridor of investment, they can help provide the expertise to equip Millcreek to do so with a third-party objective standard with the highest regard of expertise. So,
And the reason you're concentrating on Millcreek and Summit is because we're going through our comprehensive plan?
yes, I believe that in the best way to leverage these resources is to get the knowledge, the front end or at the beginning processes of the comprehensive planning effort, so that when you build out your implementation strategy, you have these tools available to you.
I've noted in the scope you provide to us, there's a reference to one of the goals being redevelopment of key industrial gateway properties back into productive use and back on tax rolls. While we do have industrial sites in Millcreek and in Summit, I wouldn't say our industrial sites are gateway. I mean, so is this industrial and commercial sites, or is this primarily industrial redevelopment program?
Industrial and commercial sites, and that I can make that note in the application. Is industrial and commercial sites, and in light of the border of Millcreek, you know, the gateway is not a, you know, significant barrier. We can even 86 that wording. So.
Well, we have your scope, but we don't have the actual language of an MOU in front of us today. I believe ECRA has kind of a form that you fill out.
Yep.
Correct?
And we hope to send that to you. I mean, it might already be in your inboxes. It just didn't make it to the. I also wanted to point out that this is a very unique opportunity. We believe in this project so much. I want to make it clear that this ECRA funding is being leveraged with $25,000 from the Erie County Redevelopment Authority, and we're hoping to get another $25,000 for the First Energy Foundation. All of this money is going directly to NDC. All of these partners are not receiving a dime of this. We recognize that it is such an important process and a capacity building tool. We're willing to do all of this, you know, at no cost, because we know of how much it can impact a municipality.
Well, gentlemen, I'll just point out to the board, I think this is a pretty unique opportunity for us. In my experience working in planning and the county planning office for the past decade or so, the economic development community has a very, let's say, has a very focused view of development, and it's usually the city of Erie. And I think this is a great opportunity for our board to work with the economic development community to show them the investment potentials in Millcreek and Summit. And I think it's also a great opportunity for us to collaborate with Summit. We had talked previously about somehow having joint comp plans or collaborative comprehensive plans, and in talking with Summit supervisors, we realized maybe our general comprehensive plan goals might not be conducive to joint planning. But this economic development component, I think, would be a great opportunity for us to coordinate with Summit to ensure that we're having mutually beneficial economic goals, and not just kind of planning in a vacuum in our own municipality or Summit in their own municipality. Also, I think if we can somehow make sure this is very closely tied to our comprehensive plan, our planning commission and part of our Embrace Millcreek survey showed that really business retention and growth are a focus area from the public. We've identified corridors we want to study as part of the comprehensive plan. 8th Street comes to mind, Peninsula Drive. So we do have an opportunity, I think, in Millcreek to benefit from this kind of expertise in helping to guide our comprehensive plan from an economic development perspective. The only thing I would like to stress as far as an MOU is I do think we need to ensure that we do have formalized representation on the project team board. I would suggest 2 members, a member of the board and a staffer of our choice to give us representation on this project team. And also specify that this project will be done in coordination with an economic development a committee that we're going to be forming for our comp plan, so that those sites can be identified in concert with the comp plan and not independent of it.
Well, how soon before we would need to sign an MOU? That's pretty quick, isn't it?
The actual application is due on Thursday, so we can, but you should have it in your inbox today, so, I mean, you'll have time to review it.
So you're suggesting with those changes or
Those specifications.
additions? Okay. Well, then we would need a motion, and you want to make the motion then, John, with those additions to the MOU?
If you and Mr. Grover are comfortable with that, or if you have any further questions.
Well, I think we need to look at this, that it's coming, this document that's coming. I don't know, are we able to do some sort of vote on that?
Conditioned?
Conditioned on review of that? Are we able to do that, Mr.?
Yeah, I think
Mr. John?
you can condition it based upon both the specific conditions that Mr. Morgan has identified, as well as conditioning on review by the solicitor and his recommendation, you know, to execute the document, under the constraints of what's been explained that's being proposed here.
And again, there's no cost involved to the township,
No cost at all to the township.
right?
And just, I believe that it's a form document, so the MOU that we just voted on for the Jefferson Society would be a similar form and function, just the roles and responsibilities would be clarified differently. Is that, that's my understanding of it. Mr. Groner, you worked with Jefferson. Is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, we've had
That's a
that.
form.
Yeah, that's a form. We've had
Okay.
that for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the structure will be the same, just the
Right.
content would be different to be applicable to the grant that they're, you know, the program that they're seeking the grant for.
Okay.
All right, then conditional approval.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to grant approval for the board to sign an MOU in principle based on the scope provided by Mr. Pratt, with conditions of a minimum of 2 Millcreek representatives on the project team, and language that formalizes a relationship between our comprehensive plan and this effort,
And review by the solicitor.
reviewed by the solicitor.
Okay,
That's what I was looking for
all
there.
right.
Okay,
Is there a second?
I'll second it there
All
with
right.
that addition on it.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We didn't get public comment.
Oh, I'm
'cause that
sorry,
was
yes,
not
because
on
that
the
one was
agenda.
not on the agenda. The Jefferson Educational Society was. Is there public comment on that last issue? Okay. Moving on, stormwater plans and maintenance agreements. The first is for IHOP. Rick?
This is for the new IHOP that is planned for just a little bit west of the southwest corner of 12th and Peninsula. Stormwater management maintenance agreement is on the township-approved form, and everything has been written as the developer's responsibility for ownership and maintenance. So we recommend approval of this.
All right. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the stormwater plan and maintenance agreement with IHOP.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Mr. Groh?
Vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
I vote yes. And Rick, you want to mention the next one for the window cleaning by Jim?
Sure. They haven't been able to get everything in the time frame that we were hoping, so we planned ahead. We had window cleaning by Jim on the agenda for a stormwater management maintenance agreement, but since it is not ready, we have nothing to act on.
We can, okay.
All right. Do we need to formally table that since it's on the agenda, Mark?
Yeah. Wouldn't hurt just to do that.
All right. Is there a motion to table that until they've completed their stormwater plan?
So moved.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next we have the hiring of a golf course architect to prepare final drawing, or final design drawings, bid specifications, and perform inspections for the renovations of the Millcreek Golf and Learning Center. Because this is a fairly, we received one proposal, and it's a fairly significant amount of money, nowhere near what was expended for the original design, which is really all we had to compare costs to, although the scope is significantly different. We're going to attempt to obtain a second proposal so that we have some cost comparison. So again, this is on the agenda, and I would move that this be tabled until we can obtain a second quote, or second proposal.
Okay, I'll second that. Being tabled, right?
Being tabled, yes.
Okay, I'll second that.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Communications, John, or, well, we'll start with Mark. Do you have anything, Mark?
No, nothing further.
All right. John?
Okay, yes, I've got several of them from the police department, but before I start there, just a little bit of information here. Last Saturday, the 23rd, was it the 23rd? Or whatever day it was, 30th, I can't remember what day of the week it is, I'm sorry. We had a drug take-back day here at the Township Building between 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. The police department was able to collect 87 pounds of drugs that were taken back. These were prescription drugs and also household over-the-counter medications, no longer used or expired. We're happy in that because they were not thrown in the trash for, littering or possible animals taking it, or anything that may have been a narcotic that could have been taken by anybody who's an addict. So we're very thankful for the police department and the initiative for that. Also, just one little bit of information here. As we know, the Interchange Road project, Zimmerly Road, it's a snarl up there, folks. I'm not telling you to stay away from it, but if you can find another way, find another way. We've had some comments and complaints coming in thinking that this is a Millcreek project. It's not. It is a PennDOT project. I don't want to seem like I'm picking on them, but Interchange Road and Zimmerly Road, of course the interstates, they're all PennDOT controlled, so this is their project. Not to be passing the buck, but okay. Moving on to the police matters here. This comes from Chief Scott Height. He's requesting permission to replace the obsolete video surveillance system for recording the detention and holding cells. They've received 4 quotes. The low quote came from Innovative Audiovisual LLC at a cost of $799.54. It should be noted that none of these bids included the installation of the network cabling system. The cable installation and the required cable would be completed by our IT department. You want me to take all these as one?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The next one is, it also requested permission to purchase Microsoft Office and Small Business 2016 version. The IT manager recommends an upgrade in order to take full advantage of our police field reporting and records management software. Additionally, the software will be compatible with the future replacement of the township-wide mail server. Mr. Filson obtained a price of $90.05 per year for a package of 5 licenses. Therefore, he's requesting 50 licenses for a total of $90.50. Or 900, I'm sorry, 900, I missed the zero, sorry, $900.50 per year. A copy of the recommendation is included in this. Just a little note here, the current surveillance system over the jail cells is beginning to fail, and it is essential to replace it as soon as possible. It is a recommendation that the projects be funded in the following ways. In the 2017 capital projects budget, the purchase of 4 vehicles was approved at a cost of $190,000. He's recommending reducing, God, I hate to say that, reducing the purchase of replacements to 3 vehicles, and thus allocating the remaining would be for the capital project budget to fund additional refurbishment of our armored vehicle for the SWAT team, and also the possible, when I say possible, purchase of a vehicle used by the detective unit. So I got those issues right there, those 2 things to be voted on. I make that as a form of a motion.
So Chief Height would like to move money around then?
Yes, sadly, they had four vehicles in the budget, and these other matters were not included in the budget, so he's looking at where he could save, and remove something, and that was where it was. So instead of 4 cars, 4 cruisers, there'll be 3 this year.
I appreciate the chief making that recommendation. Am I reading this accurate though, John and Mr. Zikrzewski? The total expense that wasn't budgeted is what, about $5,800, and then another $900 is the total that was unbudgeted that we're trying to compensate for?
That's what it is. It's $5,800 plus $900, so it's about $6,700. I don't know if we have any hidden safes anywhere with money in it?
Well, I guess what I'm thinking, John, is I think we should obviously approve the expenditure. As far as the funding source from it, we've just discussed at this meeting, we had some cost savings and other capital expenses. I would suggest, rather than deferring the purchase of a vehicle, maybe having Mark look over the capital budget, see what kind of reallocation we might be able to make. I know the police actually requested 6 vehicles initially.
Yeah, correct.
So we already cut them down to 4.
Yeah. And it seems to be that's where any money needed for other expenditures, that's where it's going to be drawn from. I'm sorry, didn't mean to use incorrect English. But that seems to be what it is. If we look at the next issue here that Mr. Hyde brought up, he's looking at, he's asking for approval to purchase 3 cruisers from TriStar Motors. So that's, if we can take the money for the video camera and the surveillance camera and the software programs for the windows, if we can take that out of another account, that would be great. That way he doesn't have to lose a vehicle.
Could I suggest that you go ahead, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
But I'll see if I can find money for this, given the ups and downs of the other budget items that were approved today. When you get to the cars, approve the 3, and then the next meeting, if you want to add the 4th, it's only 2 weeks away. It shouldn't significantly impact your timing of getting the vehicles here and online.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. Okay, so.
Yeah, we're talking about minor money
Yeah.
in costs versus a significant difference in the cost of not purchasing another vehicle.
Right.
So, and it has been very beneficial to try to replace the vehicles on a regular
Right, yeah,
basis
we
rather
use
than falling
6,
behind
4 to 6 of them.
a year, right?
Because they do get ridden, and not hard, but they do get used, They're
Yes.
constantly motion.
Okay, so your recommendation is go ahead with the 3, the other 2 purchases,
Okay.
and then if we are able to purchase the 4th in 2 weeks, we'll do that.
Right.
Okay.
Now, what about the one I first read here about the surveillance cameras and the software?
Well, then
I made a motion on that.
All right, then we're approving this as stated.
As stated,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
Okay, that was my motion there, I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second John's motion to essentially amend the capital budget to accommodate the purchase of surveillance software
Okay,
and the 50 licenses for Microsoft Office and Small Business, and to reallocate those funds from the police department's request from their replacement line item for their vehicles.
Okay.
okay,
That's a second. Mr. Groh?
yes,
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I'll vote yes.
okay, thank you. And we'll get that matter taken care of at our next meeting. The next matter also comes from the chief. He's requesting approval to purchase 3 2017 Ford Interceptors SUVs, all-wheel drive vehicles from TriStar Motors. The total price for the vehicles is $84,870. TriStar's is a CoStar vendor, and the purchase would fall under the contract from CoStar's number 013-146. He's also requesting at the same time the purchase for all of the vehicle equipment and accessories to be installed by Team Force Incorporated. Team Force is an authorized installer and provides warranty service on any equipment installed. Team Force works in conjunction with TriStar Motors. They will deliver the equipped vehicles to our department. Accessory costs and installation for the 3 vehicles is $47,653.50. The remaining expense to complete the vehicles are the graphics. The total cost for the 3 vehicles from Octane Custom Designs is $1,650. Therefore, your grand total for 3 vehicles without the computer equipment is $132,523.50. And all documentation for that is attached with it. I think you have it in your
Yes.
packets there. So I'm asking permission to purchase those 3 vehicles or to place the order for them.
Okay.
And it's form of a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Groh?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, the next thing is easier stuff. It's training and fire police matters. We've got 4 of them here. First is request permission to send officers Petch, Gross, D'Angelo, and Sorokas to the Mercyhurst Police Training Academy. from 800 to 4 in the afternoon on June the 5th and through the 7th of 2017. The course they would be attending a standardized field sobriety test. There is no overtime associated with this training at this time. Travel will be by department vehicle. The cost is $60 per officer for a total cost of $240. The next one is request permission to send officers Keller, Brocklehurst, Perkins, and Washek to the Northsea Academy for the same time from June 8th through June 9th. They would be attending a course, Advanced Roadside Impaired Driving Enforcement. There is no cost overtime for this. Travel times by department vehicle. The cost per officer is $60 for a total cost of $240. We put those together as one there. I'll put that as form of a motion for those two actions right there.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Next one is permission for the Lecom Wellness Center to hold a 5K run on various streets of the Kearsarge area of Millcreek Township on Saturday, August the 5th. The run will begin at the Lecom Wellness Center on 54th Street, then proceed eastwards through Winchester Heights before turning westward and ending back at the starting point. Lecom will provide employees and volunteers to serve as road marshals, and they request 2 MPD officers at the overtime rate and 3 Kearsarge Fire Police officers to assist in traffic control. Is attached a copy of the additional details of running route and liability insurance and the fire police request. I put that in the form of a motion to approve that action.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, and then finally, he's requesting permission for Officer Schrader to attend the Survival Spanish course held in Meadville, PA at the Northwest Training Center of Pennsylvania State Police. The course is being held on May 8th through the 10th. Actually, it's going on. The travel will be by department vehicle, and there is no anticipated overtime.
Okay.
So I make that, let's see here. I think we got another one here, too.
Yeah. One.
Okay, well, just put that one in a form of a motion there.
Okay, the other one's
Yeah,
the parades.
yep.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I do have other ones here. I request permission, this comes from the chief once again, permission to purchase 2 Bushmaster rifles and accessories from Markle Supply of Pittsburgh for a cost of $2,508.30. The rifles were approved in the 2017 capital budget. So I make that purchase request in form of a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
Okay, yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, and, okay, here we go. We have two events coming up here this summer. The first is the annual 4th of July. That's through the American Legion. And he's seeking authorization letter from the board to provide permission to conduct the following parades. That one, and then number 2 is the bringing in the roar for the Roar and Shore on July 13th, which I believe is a Thursday. That's the opening ride for the Roar and Shore.
These are required by PennDOT.
Yeah, required by PennDOT. We just need to send letters authorizing that.
Okay.
I make that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, and that's it. Sorry it takes so
That's all
long.
right.
on that.
So Mr. Chairman, I want to make one point. It appears there might be cost savings in the purchase of those 3 vehicles. That cost savings might actually offset the budget reallocation, so
Yes.
something to look at.
We'll get together soon
Oh,
and talk about that.
Something less
yes.
than what was budgeted?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be good.
Thanks, yeah, thanks for bringing that up, John.
All right.
Okay, I'm
Anything
done.
else? All right. From our Human Resource Director and Parks and Recreation, this would be for summer employment. We have 2 in building maintenance, 3 in sewer, 1 in streets, 2 in traffic, and 11 in Parks and Recreation. These lists are available if anyone would like to take a look at them. They're all at the prevailing rate depending upon the number of years that they have been here, and I would move approval of those seasonal employees.
Okay, I'll second that.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. You keep us on the edge of our seats.
Well, I'm looking at last names that look familiar.
In some cases, I would imagine they are, yes. I mean, as far as,
I'll also make sure we're not, these folks aren't going to be
no,
actually
that's been
reporting
all
underneath there.
reviewed by Human Resources,
Okay.
yes. Okay, we have, from our, again, Gary Snyder, our Public Works Director, he would like permission for Joe Yatzer, Sean Kern, and Gary to attend the Highway Equipment Open House in Zelienople on May 17th. It would be by township vehicle. There would be no cost to the township. They would travel down and back on the same day. And I'll move approval of that.
I'll second that.
Mr. Crowe?
Vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. The annual, yes,
There was another list of summer help to be approved.
did I miss one?
I thought he had them all together there.
There was Parks and Rec and summer help.
I did them as a group. I did Parks and Rec and HR Director as a group. That's all right. Next, we have, the Erie County Association of Township Officials will be holding their annual yearbook scholarship dinner. I believe it's at the McCain American Legion, is that right? Cheryl, I think?
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh? Okay. Oh, there it is right there. Got it. Edinburgh, McCain, VFW. That was close. On May 25th, and I'd like permission to send the 3 supervisors and 5 administrative staff to that dinner at a cost of, and I think you gave us something there, Cheryl, $208. And I'll move approval of that.
Okay, I'll second that.
Mr. Grow?
I vote yes.
Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I'll vote yes. And let's see. We had 2 executive sessions during the past 2 weeks, one on April 28th and one on May the 1st. And with that, we have no student ambassador today. Sydney is taking a test, I believe you said?
Yes, I think that's what she's doing, yeah.
Okay, and John, anything?
Yeah, I have a quick report on the Embrace Millcreek Comp Plan. I apologize, it's not on the agenda. Just want to let folks know, we voted a few weeks ago to bring City Architecture under contract to be our lead consultant for that project. We did have kickoff meetings with staff a couple weeks ago, and we have also now scheduled our kickoff meetings for the public. We're very appreciative of the Millcreek School District offering us locations for sites within Millcreek Township. The goal is to have as neighborhood level as we can to make sure these meetings are as convenient to the public as possible. Just briefly, we'll be having a meeting. All these public input sessions will be in June, so we'll make sure we reinforce this throughout the month. We'll be advertising it on our local government access channel, putting it out on press releases as well. But just so the board's aware, we'll be having a neighborhood meeting on Tuesday, June 13th, and that'll be at the Bell Valley Elementary School from 6 to 8. We'll be also having a meeting on June 14th. That will be at J.S. Wilson Middle School from 6 to 8. June 20th, we'll be utilizing the Grandview Elementary School for a public meeting from 6 to 8. And on June 21st, we'll be having a meeting out at Westlake Middle School from 6 to 8. And again, what we try to do is have these meetings at different parts of the township, spread out best we could to make sure we have different groups in our community present, and to have make them as convenient as we can for residents to attend. So again, we'll be reinforcing those dates, advertising them and whatnot in the coming weeks. And hopefully we'll have a lot of folks come in and let us know what to think of our community and really help us to plan for the future of Millcreek.
Okay. Anything else, John?
That's all I got.
All right. Mark?
Yes, I've got 2 items relating to the Fire Commission. First item, I guess I'll turn to Matt, actually on with respect to a request from the Fire Commission made at their last meeting.
Gentlemen, at the April 20th meeting of the Township Fire Commission, it was brought up and discussed about the National Night Out to be held in August. Historically, Bell Valley Fire Department has always hosted that for the township, and the Fire Commission, let me back up, the township in the past has given some financial compensation to Bell Valley Fire Department to assist with the planning of the National Night Out, as well as some assistance with contacting local businesses and organizing food items, things like that. The National Night Out is for those who may not know, is a nationwide event that takes place that encourages neighborhoods and folks to get together to combat crime and get to know their communities a little bit better. And ours is held in Bell Valley. The initial request from the Fire Commission was that the township allocate $1,000 towards the National Night Out event, as well as encourage additional township participation from the Streets Department, Parks and Recreation, so on and so forth. After that recommendation was made by the Fire Commission, discussion was had with the chief of the Bell Valley Fire Department, who indicated that it might be better served to wait on that and have Bell Valley provide a list of their unmet needs at the end for some reimbursement possibly. So that's what came out of the commission.
However, they're still looking for participation from township departments.
They are, correct.
What's the date of the event, Matt? I'm sorry.
I believe it is August 1st.
Were we aware of this request, that there was going to be a request prior to budget time? Because I don't think that this is in the budget, is it?
No.
No, it is not in the budget. We had not had any formal request made until the commission meeting. And again, Bell Valley, we did provide I believe it was a non-budgeted request again last year.
Right, yeah, that was
if I remember
500.
correctly.
500.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good idea in the future, if this is going to be an annual event, that we budget for it annually.
I agree, and there had been some discussion about including this with some sort of, community events type of budget line item with the fireworks, things like that as well.
Okay? So we really don't need any action right now.
That, like I said, the request of the commission was to provide that. However, talking with the sponsor itself, they would like to wait on that.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
And Mark, you had something else?
Yeah, the second item, again, relating to the Fire Commission. As you know, the commission has met several times now, and the first couple of meetings were to review kind of each fire department having the opportunity, as well as MPS, to make presentations with respect to what their equipment was, the types of things that they do, who their volunteers are, and so forth. And at the last meeting, there was discussion raised by one of the citizen members of the commission about creating committees to help address certain issues with respect to the fire departments and MPS. Committees they talked about included a finance committee, an operations committee, a membership committee, and an administrative committee. And so they had a long discussion about that, as well as different topics that they wanted to discuss. And as you know, under the ordinance that created the commission, the township has the authority to direct the topics that the commission is to address, and in order to make sure that the commission stays on topic in terms of addressing those issues that the Board of Supervisors believes are most important. I guess after meeting with Matt and Caleb from the Emergency Management Services Department, as well as John Groh, who's the liaison for the Fire Commission, we thought it was important for the supervisors to make its position clear with respect to what it believes the commission should be focusing on with respect to these committees. And I think our general consensus was that there really at this point should only be 3 committees: a finance and operations and a membership committee. And really, the fear was getting beyond that starts to stretch the commission pretty thin, and you end up maybe not getting much done at all. Frankly, 3 committees may push it a little bit, but those make sense in terms of the issues that we think exist. And then in terms of each committee and the topics that should be addressed, the recommendation would be is that the Finance Committee, as a top priority, implement essentially Section 36-20A6 of the ordinance, which required, kind of the capital reports, as well as a 5-year prioritization of capital needs. We think that should be a top priority of that committee, followed by determining a system of accountability for the use of the township funds by the fire departments, an assessment of the financial viability of the fire departments, and then an assessment of how revenue is or can be increased, looking at a variety of issues from evaluating cost sharing, any alternative funding models, billing recovery, and fundraising. Then with respect to the Operations Committee, the topics identified in the following priority would be a township-wide pre-plan, including evaluating mutual aid issues and response times, reviewing areas of possible cooperation and collaboration, which is another item specifically mandated under the ordinance, which would include looking at things like training, operational consistency, and standard operating procedures. Third topic, looking at future consolidation of fire departments. And fourth topic, kind of common management issues that may be addressed and make life easier for the departments. The third committee is the membership committee. First topic under that would be looking at recruitment and retention. How do you get more volunteers? How do you keep the volunteers that you have? Looking at incentives, are there ways to incentives that can be given to encourage that volunteerism? Looking at IRT system that I think is existing or is in place at West Ridge, and then kind of the career model, which looks at, essentially having a paid fire department. So those are I think the recommendation of the group that looked at it in terms of what direction the Fire Commission should be given with respect to the establishment of these committees. We also believe that the township should have representation on at least two of the committees, with the treasurer being a member of the Finance Committee and Matt actually being a member of the Operations Committee. I don't know, Matt or John, if you have any other thoughts on this to add.
Yeah, this, I think, will help get the Fire Commission in a direction that we'd like to see them go. Of course, they are a recommending body, and to advise us of what they come to a conclusion on matters that we refer to them. Instead of them just coming up with ideas and then sending them off to us, we'll give them specific tasks. And I think the way it's laid out here with the three committees and our participation in it too, I think that'll work out very well. And of course, I think it's implied that I'm a liaison to it, so therefore I'm like an ex officio member of these subcommittees, or just be there and offer input from the township.
Yeah, in the discussion that we had when informing the bylaws for the commission, right, people who aren't members of the commission can be members of these committees.
Right.
So that if there's special, if there's expertise that you need for purposes of addressing a certain specific topic, you can bring that person in even though they may not be a member of the commission.
Mark. Yeah,
correct.
He's
That's
our
the idea.
financial expert, and
Yeah. And John, you used the term direction, and I think that's key here. We
right,
want
that
to
is
provide
key
direction.
there. Yeah, I think we're maybe a little bit off course, but I think we're back on course here with this directive.
Keep it moving the right way.
I think the committees are a good idea. It's just a function of making sure that, you can be committed to death if you don't have the right direction.
Okay, then, we would need a motion. This isn't specifically on the agenda, so I would
Correct.
call for public comment on this. But I would also entertain a motion then to provide, written notice?
I think
to the
written
committee?
direction to the commission in terms of the townships, the direction the township would like to see these committees proceed, as well as the membership.
Summarizing what you just presented.
Yeah, I make a motion to have Mr. Exley or Mr. Shaw actually present these recommendations or these directives to the Fire Commission.
Okay.
Yes, I'll second that.
Mr. Grote?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
You want a public comment before we vote?
Public
Yeah.
comment? Mr. Morgan?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep. That's all I have.
Cheryl?
I have the right to know report from April. We had two requests, one was granted, one was denied because no records existed.
Okay.
Approximately 3 hours spent.
All right. Rick?
Nothing.
Matt? Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Citizens to be heard. Sorry to keep you gentlemen here so long. Our daytime meetings are usually a couple hours, or less than an hour, and this has been a long one.
Donald Wozansky, 4218 West 28th Street there. I just wanted to bring some attention for your stormwater management. As you probably know, we had a big rainstorm May 1st, Monday. I have pictures. Your engineer has all copies too on this hard drive.
Okay. Thank you.
I took these all myself there.
Okay.
All right, I think we've seen some of
This
these.
is
Okay.
Contessa, right?
I don't know if you're aware, if you've seen any of them all, but that white car there was a little lady, she drove into it, and her car was electric, and she couldn't get the windows down, couldn't get the doors open. She had medical problems there, and somebody's gonna have a heart attack in there, and they're not gonna be able to get them out, and they'll die.
And there goes a bus through the
We had a
water.
school bus
Which
go
they really
through.
shouldn't be doing.
No,
You know,
Yeah.
Underwater, you don't drive through standing water, you're going to get, it could be a sinkhole.
that's right.
That's right.
And there's even a picture of two cars passing, and you know, you guys are aware of
Yeah,
medical.
I was over
center
there,
they built on 26th Street here? Well, that big drain pipe, I hope you have money set aside to dig it up eventually, because they put a grate in the back of it for the water was supposed to overflow from their storage pond into the pipe and flow away. Well, the water came up.
I'm sorry, if you would, could you go back to the microphone so that there's folks at home who may want to hear and see?
I'm sorry. As you are aware, the medical center, they built a big storage pond in the back. Well, their engineers messed up. I'd say other stuff, but I can't say that play company. Anyway, the woods behind my property, it filled up. There's a picture in there of, it blasting out of the manhole, blew that 75-pound manhole cover off. It filled the woods full of water. I walked back there and I took pictures. The water was coming up out of that grate. It was supposed to go in, down the gravel, over the dam, and into the pond. It filled their pond completely to the rim. It was up to, if it was one picture in the back of the book, they're showing there's a car in the parking lot. If it would have been more rain, it would have went into their parking lot. And that their underground storage system there ties into that pond for overflow from the storage. I talked to the building manager for the building. It filled, I gather it filled up their underground storage, and it backflowed into their basement there where they have their equipment there on the end building on by 26th Street. That's what she told me.
Okay.
Basically, their pond is being used for storing Millcreek stormwater. Their engineer messed up big time there because they didn't build the pond high enough. I mean, the grade is here, the dam for the pond is about 8 inches below. And it was even, while I walked in the back there, the water was even coming out of the woods over the top of the pond and into the pond. It's not very good engineering.
Rick, we're referring to Allegheny Health Network's new facility,
Correct.
correct? And that stormwater management plan was submitted to Hill Engineering or
Yes.
GPI now, is it
Yes.
referred to?
They
You have any
approved it.
comments on that, Rick, or?
Well, I think we have to understand that any facility can work in reverse. It depends upon the lay of the land near it. So if you have an overflow spillway channel, which this pond does, there was so much water that day in that area that overflow spillway, instead of working from the pond to the exterior, worked in reverse. In other words, there was so much water from the outside, it found the equilibrium elevation to be lower in the pond, so until it reached that, it flooded the pond as well as the underground storage and the area to the south.
On that matter,
Well, so
I'm
is
pretty good
this
at,
assessment accurate, the general stormwater, the source of the stormwater would be, he's saying it's municipal stormwater that's backing into their system. Is that an
Yes.
accurate assessment?
Yes,
well,
from what I've seen, that occurred.
the grate where it's supposed to go in is about, I'd estimate about maybe 8 or so inches above the dam. When they built the pond, they built it wrong. They built it too low. And unless you're Jesus, you're not going to get water to flow uphill.
I've
Rick, are you
already-
going to have Hill come back out and?
Yes, I've already addressed it with GPI.
Okay,
I've let them know that. I need to send them that picture, and I do have it,
If you
so
want
they
the
can
hard
see exactly what it is. What Mr. Wozanski is referring to is, there's a catch basin grate. It's typically located at the top of an outlet structure, and that is usually the last area where water can enter the system and be discharged prior to activating the overflow spillway. And in this case, the overflow spillway was activated, whether it was in reverse or not. But you could clearly see in his picture that the overflow spillway was activated before the catch basin grate was utilized. That catch basin grate is too high.
so, the grade is too high.
Right. Someone missed something there.
Okay, then we need to have that addressed ASAP.
True.
And the other issue, of course, is the pipe that runs underneath 26th Street, correct?
Correct.
Well, if you look at the one picture, I took a picture down the manhole cover, inside the manhole, the big pipe, I'd estimate you only have about maybe 18 inches of clear space because it's all full of mud and debris and stuff like that. And I talked to your engineer, this has been flooding, I've been there 30 years and it's been flooding for 30 years. It used to go down, it'd flood and it would go down in a half hour, it's gone. Now, this last time it was about 4 or 5 hours it sat there. And there's even a picture at the end of the book there how muddy 28th and Contessa gets from the dirt settling out.
We've known for many years, and we've been attempting for many years to get PennDOT to do something about the pipe underneath 26th Street. And then we need to present them with this evidence now that this is a serious problem.
Also, the pipe that runs across the back of my property, I suspect it's, it's steel and it's settling there because my ground in the back is settled about 4 to 5 inches. And there's a couple of pictures of where water was coming up from the pipe, like a fountain does, into the standing water up above. So I suspect that pipe is in the process of collapsing, and eventually it's going to go down, and you guys are going to have a hell of a big job. Dig job. Big job.
We've spoken with, or I spoke with our Public Works Director end of last week, and we are going to get a contractor in here to make sure that those pipes are not only in good shape, but clean.
Okay, well, another thing on the shapes of the pipes, when they built that, the great thing for the medical center, they videotaped it when they cut the pipe,
right,
and it was full of mud. They dug out underneath the pipe, and the water was running out of the bottom of the pipe. They had to pump it out while they put the cement underneath the pipe and built the box around it there. So the pipe is basically rotted out. It's been 40, 50 years it's been in there, and steel does not last ever. If they would have put concrete, it'd be no problem. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Rick or Matt, or feel free to punt to Sean Kern and Gary Snyder. When we have a road flowed out like that, whose responsibility is it to go out and close that road down so folks aren't driving through that? Would that be emergency management? Is that our streets department? How would, clearly folks aren't observing what many would call
common sense.
Well, I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
But if we've got a road, but if we have a hazard in a public roadway, we do have some obligation to close down that public roadway, don't we?
Typically, the way that it works is that the first responders, whether it be emergency management, police, or fire, are the initial ones to close down that roadway, and then we enlist the help of the streets department if it's going to be a longer-term issue. It's certainly something that we saw in the last rainstorm that we had here. We preached to people, turn around, don't drown, for 2 reasons. Number one, what happened up on Interchange Road, right, where we had a lady get caught in the water, but also what this gentleman was saying, we've seen it happen before where the road looks totally normal or there's only an inch of water and you think you can make it, and the pipe itself has been undermined and collapses under the weight of your vehicle. So certainly in that case, local first responders would shut it down initially, and then our streets department would take over.
Well, Matt, ideally, the police, if they were notified, they should have blocked the road off.
Correct. I can tell you that at that time that was going on, we had, I believe, 3 water rescues going on at the same time with people in vehicles who failed to turn around. And I believe that, if I remember correctly, we had about 5 or 6 different major flooding situations. We recently installed, and we've been working with the engineering department to get a better handle on understanding these flooding issues across the township. We have partnered with them. We've installed 4 weather stations that give us rain rate per hour, as well as give us alerts if rain rate is increasing. We have an additional 4 that are going to be implemented across the township this year that we've purchased that will alert Rick and myself that if we know that we have a problem flooding area, that we can maybe try to be a little bit proactive in getting some crews out to those areas.
But if residents notice the road's flooded out, they should contact the police department.
Absolutely, or the streets department.
Right. Chief.
Bill Storton, 4505 Tulane. I've been here before for the same problem. Last Monday, the 1st, I flooded for probably the 31st time, my yard, major flood. It comes out of the township stormwater that's behind my lot. It's about 12 to 18 inches above the ground. Nothing can ever run into it because, like it was said earlier, water doesn't run uphill. But I'm getting significant damage now. I'm going to probably have to replace half my driveway, because it's cracked and it's shifting. I have a cyclone fence. It's washing, the earth is trying to go under it, and it's bent the fence. I'm either gonna have to dig it out or do something before the fence comes down. I'm losing a lot of grass because all this stuff's coming out of the sewer and covers it up. Typically, I rake it between 1 and 2 garbage cans of debris every time this floods. Now, my neighbor to the east of me, he has his top 5 basement floods. I don't know how many times his basement is flooded, probably just as many times as my yard is flooded, but he has his top 5 basement floods now. Neighbor on the other side of me, the water runs through his garage, comes in the back, goes through the garage, comes out the front doors, and then down the driveway.
Mr. Story, you're saying this is water flowing off the roadway?
Pardon?
This is water flowing off the roadway?
No. Behind me, there's a sewer, and it blows, and then all the water, storm water, runs onto our property, and then eventually gets to the street.
Bill, it comes from White Pine, correct?
Yep. Now, when they originally put that in, it took them about 10 years to get that approved because the township engineer at that time would not approve any of the plans for that. He retires, it's okayed, and we've had problems ever since.
Rick, correct
And
me
Rick has been very nice about this.
But correct me if I'm wrong here, this problem started because White Pine was built prior to the requirements for stormwater management.
Bingo.
So they've got this significant significant subdivision right behind you with no stormwater management.
That drains into my,
That drains, it's supposed to be in a normal rain, it would go around your property. but-
What's this pipe we're talking about, though? Was the developer put this pipe in? Or
Yes.
this is a municipal stormwater system?
We probably have an easement, right? I don't even know that for sure,
I don't know that for sure either.
an easement for what?
for the pipe that runs behind you.
I was wondering where it runs to.
I think it runs over to Hidden and then down.
I think it just dead ends right there. That's what I'm starting to think.
Uses underground
I believe
storage.
it's tied into the ravine that goes
And the
just
ravine
east.
isn't used because
Just
the
east of
township wouldn't
Sheets
clean
and
it
the
out.
lot there. In the mall.
That used to be quite a bit deeper, but now they've just like filled it in, so that creek is interrupted by my yard.
So, Rick, it's a municipal stormwater system that's run behind his property?
I've got to check into it more, John. I've written down his name and phone number and address and all, and I'll be getting a hold of Bill and I'll check it myself.
Okay.
The pipe that runs under the road at Hidden and Feidler has in the past created problems for us because it gets blocked with.
It backs up too.
Yeah, it blocks,
Yes.
it gets backed up because it gets debris in there. People, for whatever reason, throw their branches and stuff in there. And our crews regularly check that pipe, but if they don't check it at the right time, and that gets blocked up, that creates even a bigger problem for Bill.
Correct. And it's the peaks that flood. I mean, we are seeing horrendous rainfall events. And it isn't so much each day, it's so much in a couple of hours, if that amount of
Yeah,
time.
the short hard
floods.
rains.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've at least 31 times.
But if
You
this
know,
is an issue where there's something that's blocked or plugged, we can address it.
Correct.
Otherwise, it's gonna be a significant issue
Yes.
up there.
Yes.
All right, we'll make sure that Rick's up there and take a walk
Well,
around with you.
The grate came off, the sewer, and I called it in as soon as it happened. It's still like that.
All right, we'll make sure somebody's
And
up
there's
there
a
today.
lot of leaves jamming it from being able to,
Give me your address here, Bill.
4505 too.
All right. All right.
Either that or I'm welding that grate on.
I don't think you want that.
No, I don't think you want
don't want
that.
that, Bill.
That'll create more problems. Anyone else? Citizens to be heard? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 11:50.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second.
We're adjourned.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.